And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon to be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. And how can I forget? If you think somebody might find this of actual interest, why don't you go ahead and hit the share button and you can share it with them as well. So the Passover holiday is fast approaching. People are busy scrubbing their kitchens, their ovens, pantries, looking for all types of unleavened bread, sort of a spring cleaning, as it may be, getting ready for the big holiday. And a few days ago, I think it was last week actually, I was, the war has changed many things here over the last couple of weeks. Namely that I was doing my afternoon and evening prayers in a building which has a safe room, a miklat, as we say, half a flight down. So our synagogue had been closed, and I was doing my afternoon prayers, and we finished. And all of a sudden, a guy that I know walks in with like a granny cart. I'm opposed to granny carts, as you know, as you probably don't know. I'm a believer that one goes shopping, one gets bags, and one holds those bags with both hands, and your hands should turn red. The blood flow should be constricted, and you should have pain. You should at some point have to put the bags down because your hands are just in pain. That's how I believe one should shop. But this person did not heed my advice, and decided to go the route of a shopping cart, a granny cart. And it was full of all kinds of Passover products. And he was holding like 3 or 4 kilos of matzah. Now, we've been so preoccupied with this war, and trying to keep business going during the war, and the office being closed part of the time. And like I said, synagogues and nobody wanting to venture out too far from their safe rooms in the event of a siren and then missiles falling. So like my mindset was not about Passover. And when I saw him holding the Passover matzah, I was like, holy cow. It's like less than 2 weeks until the big event, until the big holiday. We hadn't done a thing in our home. Due to the stress of the war, getting ready for the holiday hadn't really set in yet. Now, in our house, we usually wait till like the last week and a half or so, and then we start cleaning. But it had been an afterthought. And it's funny, I went home and I told my wife, and she's like, oh my gosh, right? It's like less than 2 weeks. We better start. Don't worry, everything will be fine. In most years, the weeks leading up to Passover bring familiar mix of urgency, lots of stress, and for many, a little bit of dread, right? We have to empty our closets, kitchens are scrubbed, crumbs are hunted down with almost like forensic intensity. Like we look, oh my gosh, look, there is something that could be construed to be a crumb. It might just be dust, but we've got to find it. The process for many can feel overwhelming, but if you dig deeper beneath the surface of all that of all the cleaning and the scrubbing and the organizing, lies something a lot deeper. It's a mindset of renewal, clarity, and I would say intentional living, which is what Passover is the perfect time to think, not just about cleaning our homes, but sort of cleaning up and making order to our lives in general, and in particular to our financial lives. Just as required to remove the chametz, that's the unleavened bread, the leavened bread, which symbolizes excess and inflation. It's not just about the physical acts. It's about stripping things down to their essentials, getting back to basics, simplicity, I would say. In many ways, our financial lives can benefit from that same exercise. Most people don't have a financial problem, I would say, because they're not smart enough, they lack intelligence, or they don't have access to information, right? We have information overload. If anything, people have to figure out how to strain the information, right? How to separate good information from bad information. The reason people struggle is because life, right? Life happens, as we like to say. Accounts pile up, investments accumulate without a clear strategy. Your expenses creep higher and higher. Your kids get older. Lifestyle creep, right? As you make more, you spend more. All these things happen almost unnoticed. Before long, what should be a clean, well-structured financial plan turns into a messy drawer full of old receipts, subscriptions which you're paying for, which you haven't used in years, and probably most important, what your goals are. You're forgetting forgotten goals, right? What is it that I'm doing? What am I trying to accomplish? The cleaning also forces us to confront what we own. Financial goal setting forces us to confront where we're going. Start with the most basic question. What are you trying to achieve financially? Not in vague terms like I want to retire comfortably or save more, but in concrete, measurable terms, right? When do you want to retire? How much income are you going to need? Will you need in order to retire, right? To supplement, whatever you're getting from the government or pensions or whatever. What are your priorities? Is it to help your kids? Is it to give, charitable giving, traveling, peace of mind? Those are all valid goals. You don't have to just pick one and then go throw all the other ones away, right? But it's important to define what it is you're trying to accomplish. Take inventory, right? List your assets, list your liabilities, go over your investments, understand what you own and why you own it. Too many investors holds funds or stocks because somebody recommended it to them years ago, right? At the water cooler at work. Because why? Generally, I made so much money on that stock. And the other goes, oh, wow. And he says, you should buy it. And he goes, I'm going to go out and buy it. And that was years ago. And even if it was successful at the time, it could very well be that the thought process that was behind the initial purchase no longer applies today. But inertia sort of sits in and, no changes are done, right? Holding something isn't a strategy. It's inertia, right? Pesach cleaning, Passover cleaning doesn't allow for inertia. You can't say, I cleaned the cabinet last year, I won't clean it this year. It doesn't work that way. You still have to clean it. You still have to scrub it out, right? And then you reassess. Just like cleaning for Passover, financial cleanup doesn't require genius. It requires, a combination, I would say, of attention, consistency. Start by examining your expenses. Where's your money going each month, right? Trust me, when you start doing that, you're going to be shocked. As I mentioned before, the subscriptions you forgot about, services you don't use, lifestyle upgrades that didn't actually improve your happiness. Then review your investment portfolio. Is it aligned with your risk tolerance and your time horizon? As we go through life and things change, has it drifted from those things? Markets change, and that might seriously impact your asset allocation. Rebalancing, as I've mentioned numerous times, is the financial equivalent of putting things back in their proper place, right? In your shelves. Restocking. Do you have a clear financial plan? A well-designed plan integrates investments, taxes, insurance, estate considerations into a cohesive strategy. Without that integration, right? Even the best, even good, let's say, individual decisions can lead, to less than optimal outcome. And don't forget now about your goals themselves. Just as families grow and change, so do financial priorities. What mattered 10 years ago might not matter at all today. Reviewing your goals, I would say on an annual basis, ensures that your plan remains constant, right? If you do it every 10 years, it's not going to be so constant. I don't think you have to do it more frequently than that because things don't really, on a sort of more broad level, things don't change every month. Then there's the psychological component to this. Cleaning, whether physical or financial, creates clarity. It reduces anxiety. It gives you a sense of control. When your environment is in order, it's easy to think clearly and make better decisions. The same is true for money. When you know where you stand financially, you make decisions with confidence. You're a lot less likely to panic during market volatility, which we've been seeing now. You're a lot less likely to chase trends or have emotional reactions to things. Instead, you're operating basically, I would say, from a place of purpose, which is really important. Relax, take a deep breath. It's not going to happen overnight, right? You're not going to wake up just like, magically before, in the weeks leading up to Passover. You're not going to suddenly wake up to a clean house without having done any cleaning. you're not going to stumble or get lucky in and have automatically an organized financial life. It definitely takes work, and it probably takes time. Work equals time. And sometimes it's not so much fun, but ultimately it's worth it. Um, Passover is all about freedom, freedom from slavery, obviously, from constraints, from things that hold us back. Financial clarity offers a similar kind of freedom, the freedom to make choices based on values rather than necessity, the freedom to support the people and causes that actually matter to you, and the freedom to live with less stress and more intention. Those are all things which are really, really important. I mentioned stress and anxiety, right? When you're in control of your financial situation, there's no question you have less stress. As somebody who volunteers for an organization, helps get people out of debt, the level of stress that people who are juggling debts have, you just can't comprehend. And what it does to their relationships, I'm not talking about even with their spouses and their kids, but other people, it's just, it's this weight that is constantly drags them down. And you don't need to be in that situation. And to extricate yourself from that situation is life changing. So as you're scrubbing countertops and checking pockets for crumbs, take a moment to think about your financial life, right? What do you need to clean out? What needs to be reorganized? What goals do you need to clarify? Don't do it all at once, okay? Start small, one thing at a time, and maybe just one goal. At the end of the day, the goal isn't a clean house for Passover. It's a clear, more intentional life, financially and otherwise. And that's the kind of freedom that we're working for. So I want to wish you a happy Passover. And I also want to wish you financial freedom because I know the importance of it. I've seen it, like I said, in my volunteer work. And it's horrific not to be free financially. To owe people money is just and to have to figure out where am I going to pay them back their monthly payment on the debt that I owe them is not helping society. And you can use that creativity to really, if you don't have the debts, to really help yourselves, help your family, help society. Okay, so happy cleaning to you all. Happy Passover to you all. You've been tuning into the Aaron Katzman Show. We speak about life and money and your investments. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you soon.